No rest for the weary. After 2 days of great betting action at the Breeders' Cup, we are back at it again today here at Del Mar. Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Scatoni, and I am your host for Del Mar Thoroughbred Club's Best Bet Seminar, where I am joined each week by a special guest to discuss the best betting opportunities on Sunday's card. Just a reminder for those who haven't listened to this show before, it's not a traditional selection show. We're not going to talk about every race. We're just going to look at some specific races and wagering strategies that offer the best opportunities to make a decent score. Now, if you're watching live, feel free to leave us a comment or ask us any questions. If you can't watch live, the show is archived on Del Mar's Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube platforms, so you can check us out there after this is all over. So without further ado, let me introduce my first guest of this live stream. Most of you already know him. He's been on the show a few times. He's my good buddy and a great handicapper and gambler, Leo Vukmanovich. Leo, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Frank. How about yourself? A little bit exhausted after 2 days of a lot of hard work and gambling. But I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
great, though.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but it's been a good whirlwind. We had a lot of fun the last, not just the last couple of days, but all week long. We had people coming in from out of town, seeing some faces that I haven't seen in a long time. So it's been really good. But part of me is also super excited that things are just now back to normal, right? We can get back in our routine and we can do our thing here at Del Mar. So let's talk a little bit about that exhaustion and just being presented with so many overwhelming opportunities over the last couple of days. You and I personally talk a lot about the mental part of the game and how you have to adapt and really focus and have determination. And you can't get down on the losses. You can't get too high on the wins. Uh, how do you prepare yourself for a day like today after what we just had the last couple of days, where we're just betting everything and there's so much action going on?
Yeah, well, if you take a look back at the week, one of the things that I did was I went down to Del Mar. I drove down on Wednesday morning and went down and attended the races because I wanted to get a feel for the races and how the racetrack was playing. And I drove back down Thursday, and then for Friday and Saturday I played at Santa Anita. I have a pretty rigid routine where I'm really strict when it comes to getting ready to gamble for the day. And I like to get to the track early. I like to be prepared. Although I do make a lot of my bets, towards the last minute, but I create an environment that's positive. I don't like to be around anyone. And one of the things that I was looking at after attending the first couple of days is I really thought that the track kind of tilted to the outside. If you know me at Del Mar, I actually sit on a bench next to the jocks room, right? I try to get some good info from them to figure out how the track's playing, and I was able to do that. And going into Friday and Saturday, I thought the dirt was going to play toward the outside, which it really did yesterday, extremely more than Friday. And then on the turf course, one of the things was some conversations last week with a trainer that had a horse in the turf sprint. He was hoping that he drew on the inside because he thought that's where you need to be on that Del Mar turf course, which we know. So that was my approach to the races for the 2 days, and then for today it's the same thing. Back to the routine. Today I'm at home, and I'm going to play from home today. That's just trying to do some things with my wife here later on today, but. I'll be making my wagers from today, and just really trying to stay focused. And again, I'm alone by myself. I don't have any distractions, and I think that's a key to my success.
Let's talk a little bit about adapting and taking information as it comes along. I know you just mentioned talking about maybe a little bit of an outside bias. Uh, let's talk about the Philly and Mare Sprint for a minute, because I know you hit that pretty good and had a pretty strong opinion in that race going against Gamine.
Yeah. So in that race, I think if you follow Twitter and racing Twitter, like Bella Sofia, I mean, the plan was for them to just be lapped on Gamine, and and uh, and I've heard Baffert say many of times of how tough and strenuous the 7 furlongs is at at Del Mar, and if you watch CC's last race, I just remember watching it live, and yeah, he didn't. I mean, she didn't beat very. She didn't. She beat a weak field, but I just saw her have like so much power down the stretch, and I just thought that with the track playing to the outside, that Victor was just going to be able to sit where he did and then make one run, which he did. Which she did. I'm sorry, excuse me, and she powered home at a really really good price. So that was a good start of my day. And then what I was also able to do was I bet some doubles to Golden Powell and Lieutenant Dan because I thought there wasn't very much speed in the race, and I thought those two would battle. And what a performance by Golden Powell, with just right out of the gate was 2-3 in front, and
Amazing,
and
right? The fastest horses in the world, and he's ahead by 4 lengths if you blink in the
right.
blink of an eye.
And then Lieutenant Dan's an incredible horse who overachieved. And Steve's a good friend of mine, and I've been to the barn to. And that horse is just like a big teddy bear, and he's been running his lights out, and great job by them. I was hoping that he would win, but then that worked out okay. So yesterday I got off to a good start that way, and even one thing to talk about, even like on Friday, I was alone. And I had my computer in front of me, and plus I was actually in a suite at Santa Anita and had several screens and and in the last race. I mean, here's a good example of just being in a position where if I was at the racetrack, I couldn't have adjusted to what happened with the late scratch, and I was able to capitalize on that and hit an exacta and the super which came back huge. Whereas if I was at the track, who knows if I would have been able to cancel any tickets or see what
Right.
was happening. Because what happened is you saw the horse get scratched, and then I saw him come back on, and then because of the ruling, they had to scratch him. So that's just another example of just having the right environment and having just being prepared and focused and not being distracted to be able to have good outcomes.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you get into a sort of a routine when things are working well for you and you want to keep that going. But at the same time, you have to have the willingness to be able to adapt and adjust on the fly. Like I know before uh, this live stream, we were talking a little bit about how the super high five in the last race, like you adapted your wagering strategy. You didn't know you were going to play that, but going into the day, but the way things shook out, you thought it was a good opportunity to play the super high five in the classic, right?
Yeah, well, they had the double carryover, right? So that
Right.
that prompted me to go in. So that was something that, as a player, you always look for an edge to try to minimize the takeout, right? So that's a good opportunity there. And then what I did was I thought there was only four horses that probably could win the race. And then the way that the race transpired is I was kind of like I like Medina Spirit. I bet her bet him in the Derby, and he's just kind of like a horse I thought was going to run well. And I know I saw on Twitter a lot of people were upset that he didn't go. I don't think he broke very well, but who. I mean, Nick's Go was going to do what he was going to do, and he was going to go as fast as he was going to have to go. And then if you look at the race, what I was right about is because he was outside Medina Spirit and Nick's Go was in the middle of the track. I mean, I thought if you took Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie, they rolled the rail the whole way. And if that was if they drew outside, I think there would have been a different. I think if Essential Quality maybe drew outside, the results might have been different for sure. But I just kind of took advantage.
Did you see how far off the rail Nick's Go was racing?
Oh yeah, I mean, even earlier in the day, I mean, Lone Rock and Tis a Magician were like in the 6th and 7th path, and then I think the same thing when you got to the end, you saw Nick's Go out in the middle of the track, and Medina, they were way out. They were way outside. So that was a good example of playing what's handed to you and kind of take what's there and use it to your advantage to create an edge.
I very, very rarely play the super high five. I don't even think I would know where to begin to structure a ticket of that magnitude. Can you walk me through a little bit of what your strategy was and how you constructed the ticket and what you ended up cashing for?
Yeah. So what I ended up doing was I took the approach where um, I thought that Medina Spirit or Hot Rod Charlie would run could would run first or second. That's the kind of approach that I took. So I did. So I took those two horses by the four horses that I thought would run first, second, third, and fourth, which was the eight. Basically the four favorites, right? And then so what I did was I took that, and in the fourth hole, I ended up using one other horse, Art Collector, and then I used all at the end, and then luckily caught the 50 to 1. My ticket for $1 was $144. And then what I
Okay.
did was then I played another ticket where I put the four horses on top, and then put Hot Rod Charlie, Medina Spirit second. Um, so it's that it
Okay.
worked out. It worked out for the best. The way that he came in, getting Medina Spirit running second at a price, and then getting the 50 to 1 to run fifth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
that's
was
that's how I
surprised Medina
approached it.
Spirit was such a good price in that race. Actually, I thought he'd take a little more money, but it worked out well for you in the super high five. Um, just to go back to your point before about adapting, and the fact that you said, and this is so important to me, you play the double carryover. You're always looking for an opportunity where the horse player has an edge, and those are so few and far between, right? So if you're
Yeah,
playing a double carryover in the super high five, like you said, you're mitigating that takeout. So it's almost like instead of your dollar only being worth 80 cents, your dollar's now worth 95 cents. So you have a little
yeah,
bit of a fighting chance to
yeah,
to beat the juice and have a nice hit.
yeah. If there's not a double carryover, I'm not making that bet.
You're not making the bet.
Right.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, this is all good information. We'll see if we can use some of these strategies and philosophies throughout the day. I know you wanted to talk about four races on the latter part of the card. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to discuss races 5, 6, 7, and 9. It's a 9 race card. Race 5 is the start of the 50-cent late pick five. And we're actually going to give out a late pick five ticket at the very end of the seminar. So keep on listening. But for now, race 5, a $50,000 maiden claimer, contested at 8.5 furlongs on the lawn with the rails at 0 feet. I thought this was a really competitive race. The morning line favorite is number 7, Eagle Chief, at 5-2 for Sadler and DeSormo. The horse just ran second at this level at 3-1 after several failed attempts against maiden special weights. Came from off the pace, kind of ran on late, put in a little mild late bid. What do you think about his chances today, and how do you see the race, Leo?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get in the number, but I'm against a horse like that. I mean, the horse has had 10 tries, and then when he got dropped to 50,000, he didn't get the win. So I'm against a horse like that today. Um, what the horse I do like is the 8 horse. Nothing good comes easy. If you've been playing Southern California for the last month here at Santa Anita, you know that Doug O'Neill's been one of the hottest trainers. And I think one of his successes, and one of the things that he does really well, is when he moves a horse from dirt to turf and stretch them out, especially with the 2-year-olds. This happens to be a 3-year-old, but this horse has one out. He rode the rail at Los Al, which is probably the worst place to be at Los Al, although 6 furlongs is not as bad as 5 and 5.5. And it looks like he just rode the horse around the track, gave him one. The race, Sumo and Disco Ball. Sumo came back to win and break his maiden after that, and actually ran on Friday
Friday.
in the first race, and ran really well. So the heat he comes out of is good, and I think he's just gonna send from there. I don't think you're gonna get 6 to 1, and then Pratt jumps on. So I think that horse is probably going to get bet probably in half, but I still think he's a key horse, and I think he's going to get the job done. Some of the other horses I like is the one Rosequist. I think he ran in a 10 hole last time, so he's coming back down inside. So I like that, and I think he's going to be forwardly placed and in a good spot. And then the other horse I like is 4 World Cruiser. He's come back to work well. He's got a big work. I leverage Andy Harrington's National Report. I'm a subscriber for many years,
Yep.
and I think that horse will improve. Um, he looks like he's improving basically in the morning, and I think he'll have a showing for himself. But this is a good example of a race where, like, what do you decide to bet? Do you bet exactas? Do you bet win bet, doubles? Tries, super. But this is a good example of where I think I could make a win bet and even an exacta bet with the 8 on top to the 1 and 4 I might use, or I might play a super with the 8 on top and use 1, 4, and then the horse on the outside, the 10. I probably would throw in there as well. So that's the kind of approach that I would take here with this fifth race.
Okay, and then in terms of the pick five, you, I we talked about you're going to use the 1, 4, and 8. I'm assuming you're going to press with the 8, right? You usually press with your stronger opinions.
Yeah, that would be the case. Yeah, here I'll what I like to do is play one ticket where it's almost what they call caveman type ticket, but then I'll come back and press hard with the horses that I like.
Right, because your goal is to not just hit it, but to hit it multiple times. To,
Yeah,
get paid for your
that's the
opinions
that's the
being right.
outcome. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the sixth race. It's a $20,000 maiden claimer for fillies and mares going 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Morning line favorite is a tepid 3-1, suggesting that this is a really wide open race, and I happen to agree with that. The favorite is number 8, Red Panty Knight, just ran third at this level at Losal, claimed out of the race by Mulhall. She freshened this gal up, brings her back at the same level. I mean, she looks okay, but she doesn't look considerably better than a bunch of the others, right?
Well, some of the things I do like about this filly is that the horse was bet, um, down to less than 2-1 from a small barn that has, probably this might be his only horse at the time before he got claimed, or maybe he only has a couple of horses, and so that's something that I looked at was significantly good, and then gets picked up by a good trainer. I do like that. The work suggests that maybe the horse is might not be ready yet, but it's a horse that I would use, but not so much a horse that I would make a win bet on because of the. I think that horse is going to end up being a shorter price. The horse that I like is Oak Sugar Mint, the 3. It's the horses had one out. One of the things I like about in maiden races, I love playing maiden races, and I love horses second time out where they'll have one race. So here's what Mike Pipey, the trainer, determined is that the horse is not. He drops the horse down from a open crowd bed race to a $20,000 open race. The race wasn't too bad. The horse that ran second came back and won. The horse is on the grass, but he's placing the horse where he thinks he can run, and then the horse has a big work. He come back with a huge work. The horse is 8-1. I'm a little bit concerned that he's going to be on the inside, but there's speed inside, so which makes it to be where he might end up in the 3 path or 4 path here, which I think might be a good place to be. And then plus the horse is lined at 8-1. Those guys from the Pipey, all of his owners and stuff, they like to gamble, and he likes to gamble. So I mean, that's a tip off. If you'll see some action on this horse, and he'll take some money, and you're not going to get 8-1 either on this horse. If you're playing, if you look at, here's another example of where I think you could, play, tries and supers. I go to the outside 3 horses, which is the 10. He's on a drop 2 as well by Eric Kruljack, and then the 9. Starship and Endeavor. I think there's another horse that's dropping down as well. So that's what I'll look at doing is I'll play some supers maybe with the 9 and using the 3 with 8, 9, and 10, and then a win bet on the 3.
Win bet on the 3. Okay, let me just ask you a question. If we could look at number 8, Red Panty Knight again. Like, what do you make of it when a trainer claims a horse, and then the horse has a little bit of a layoff? Do you look at that as a negative or a positive? I typically look at it as a negative because you don't claim a horse to, lay it up for 4 months, right? Or
Yeah, I
3 months.
think the horse had 7 workouts since recorded workouts. The last 7 since then. Yeah, uh, I mean, what you want to do as a trainer, you want to get the horse fit, and then I'm sure there was some kind of challenges that kept her from bringing the horse right back.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
which is something you don't want to take a risk on, and especially at a short price, like 3-1, right, in morning line, right.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the 7. It's a really good $40,000 optional claim online contest race of the day. You can read it there on dmtc.com on their handicapping page. I thought the morning line favorite, number 3, Fearless Girl at 5-2, was a legitimate morning line favorite, but there were a couple of others who I also thought had a shot. How do you see the race, and who are you keying on, and who are you going to use in your exotics?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting race. There's something that after betting horses for many years, if I look at the race that the 3 comes out of, yeah, he's probably gonna, he's probably she's probably gonna be the horse that's gonna be the favorite. The horse is gonna get bet, but the horse finished 5th by 1 3/4. And if you even look, there's another horse that came out of the race to 1. Rose's Crystal and 9. Ultimate High. Ultimate High ran 8th by 4.5. That means they were all bunched together at the finish, which tells me to races. I don't like to bet horses out of races that they're all bunched together. I like to bet horses out of races where they're spread out. So I'm against this favorite. The horses that I think that are interesting here to me is the 4 Anonymously and the 6 Aloha Kitten. I like the 4 on the stretch out. Something you mentioned earlier is like, Michael Maker claimed this horse ran it 2 times 6 furlongs. The horse, out of his last 10 hasn't routed. But I think there's not a whole lot of speed in here, and I think on the stretch out that this horse might prosper. And then I like the price on the horse, so 6-1, and I think you're going to probably get every bit of 6-1 on this horse. And then the other horse I like is Aloha Kitten. Here Doug O'Neill claims the horse, comes back and wins the starter race, in a decent time, and then the horse comes back and works, and the horse is fit, and they wheel him back here in I think like less than 3 weeks, and so that's the other horse that I like. So I like those 2 horses pretty strong, and I'm going to make a win bet on the 4 and exact the box with the 4 and 6.
Let me ask you this. What do you make of the 7 horse Met in Miami? Super slow dirt figures from Laurel, comes out here for Graham Motion, and Pratt leaves the 6, who he just won with, to end up on this 3-year-old filly who just looks too slow.
Yeah, interesting. You what goes on behind the scenes, who knows?
Right.
If we knew the whole reasoning behind that, that would probably help us influence who we would bet. The horse is shipped in, 4 weeks, and the horse is, he had 1 work. It looks like before they shipped him, and after his race, I think he's a horse that I'll probably watch. But I mean, that would be something if you think he's, you got to watch the board, see if he takes some action. But I'm going to stick to with what I got. But it's interesting how Pratt ended up on him, especially how he's been riding, right?
Well, yeah, that's just, and it's so weird because the horse doesn't necessarily have turf breeding, right? The horse is not really bred for the turf. But Motion's a great trainer. He knows what to do. And then you get Pratt to jump off a horse he just won with to ride this 3-year-old filly who just looks too slow. So I don't know. There's something funny going on there. I almost wonder if that horse is going to be an underlay because of the Pratt factor. So you actually end up getting better prices on the 2 more logical horses that you like.
And probably what happened was, maybe, when you ship these horses, he probably just throw him in the van or the plane, however he was shipped, and maybe that's why. waiting to see what happens with that.
Are you have papers near your microphone or something? 'Cause I'm hearing some
No. I'm
shuffling
okay
going
now.
on.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all
I
right.
apologize.
So no, I want to hear what you're
Form.
saying.
I'm old school. I'm old
Ah,
school.
all right. Well, let's keep the old school handicapping going. Let's
All
look at the
right.
nightcap. We're going to skip the 8th race, but Leo will tell you who he likes for the pick 5. But we're going to talk a little more in depth about the nightcap. Uh, it's the 9th and final. It's a maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going 8 furlongs on the turf. Rails are at 0 feet. Morning line favorite is one of 2 Phil D'Amato train runners. That's number 10, Picota, at 5-2. She's run well in 2 starts since coming to America, but it should be noted that she just lost as the 7-10 favorite last time. Can you trust her here, or are you looking elsewhere? Close out this pick 5.
Yeah, in this race, I'm going to bet against this 2-year-old colt. I think just being on the outside, um, is gonna cause some challenges for this horse after being down on the inside. The last 2 times. Can the horse get in the number? Without a doubt, I think the horse could run in. But I'm looking for an interesting horse. I actually like a couple of horses here, but I'm actually going to make a wager on a win bet on Cabo Spirit. He's an interesting horse that they paid a lot of money for, 575,000. If you look, he comes out of the Pinehurst race was bet. We probably know why that horse was bet significantly, but he's been coming out of way better races. And then even when they routed the horse just didn't fire and dropped back. And then when they put the horse on the turf, right away he was headed with another horse, and now he's stretching out. And I think what's going to happen here is I think they're just going to send this horse and just hope he wires the field. And I don't know if you're going to get 7-2 on the horse, but I think the horse has got a good chance to just wire the field. And then the other horse that I like is the other D'Amato, not the favorite, which is the 7, who's had one out. And I think he's going to improve off that performance. And I don't think you're going to get 10-1 on this horse. But those are the 2 that I like, and I'll probably exact them, box them up, and then make a win bet on the 4. And then what I like to do too sometimes is like I'll make an exacta box, but then I'll really press the horse that I like to win significantly more. So like I would box a
Right.
4-7 and then press the 4-7. That's kind of how I play it. And if you want to go to tries and supers, I would use a 9 and a 10. And then even for a price horse that's down on the inside, a lottery pick. I know Peter Yurton usually doesn't. He usually tries to give him one, but this horse, this horse, I think might have some ability and could get in the super number at a price, and that's what you need to have a good outcome.
All right. Well, that's great information. Walk through 4 of the 5 races in the pick 5 sequence. That's really all that we have time for. But I do want to post Leo's late pick 5 play, and he could just briefly mention the 3 horses that he's using in the feature race, the 8th race, the Betty Grable. And then you guys can all look at the ticket and write it down. It's a relatively inexpensive ticket, and you have the 3, 5, and 6 in that race.
Yeah, I like Big Sweep in the race, but I think just to move on, I think as well as Big Sweep, Bella Vita and Warren Showtime. Warren Showtime opted for running today 7 furlongs on the dirt compared to on the turf, which I was kind of surprised. I thought that he would have she would have had a good showing yesterday in that race, but yeah, I think you could if you use all 3, I think you can get covered. And for $54, I don't want to not have the one that beats me, because I think I have some prices in there where we can get a good payoff.
Yeah, I don't think you have the morning line favorite in any of the other legs. So I think if the cards fall correctly, this could play off very nice for a very, very low outlay of $54. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I will go ahead and I will. Well, this will be archived. I'll retweet this out for anyone who didn't get a chance to see it. That wraps up today's Best Bet seminar. Big thanks to Leo for joining us. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as I always like to say, good luck to us and let's make some money. See everybody next week. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.